When Carolyn Jones first set foot in Hollywood in the 1950s, she was quickly confronted with a harsh truth. Her raw talent and acting prowess alone wouldn't be enough to catapult her to stardom. She soon realized that to stand a chance in the competitive industry, she would need to change her appearance to fit Hollywood's strict beauty standards. Driven by a burning desire to achieve her dreams and a tenacity that couldn't be quenched, Carolyn made the difficult decision to undergo cosmetic surgery, willingly enduring the physical pain and the hefty price tag that came with it, all for the career she longed for. Once the surgery was complete, she emerged with a dramatically altered appearance. Her nose was more pointed, and she looked unmistakably like a Hollywood star. But Carolyn didn't stop there. Determined to leave no stone unturned in her pursuit of success, she dyed her hair, shed her Texas accent, and worked tirelessly on her posture, believing that every detail mattered in the quest to meet Hollywood's demanding standards. Her dedication paid off, as her career began to take off soon after she made these transformations. However, Carolyn's journey was far from smooth. Despite her new look and initial success, she quickly learned that no amount of physical transformation could fully shield her from the darker side of Hollywood. Her career faced the industry's fickle nature, with unexpected failures threatening her momentum. On top of career setbacks, Carolyn also faced enduring health issues and controversies that took a toll on her life and career. Carolyn Jones's story is one filled with resilience, ambition, and the high price of chasing a Hollywood dream, with each chapter of her life revealing astonishing and often heartbreaking truths about the lengths one actress went to in pursuit of stardom. From the moment Carolyn Jones was born, her life was marked by hardship. Abandoned by her father right from the start, she was a child who seemed to carry a natural light and warmth. But circumstances soon began to threaten that brightness. Carolyn grew up in Amarillo, Texas, where her family struggled with financial instability. Her father, a barber, found it increasingly difficult to provide, and their home was constantly overshadowed by the stresses of daily survival. Despite these challenges, Carolyn brought joy into the household with her imaginative storytelling, filling each corner of her home with laughter, even in difficult times. However, as the Great Depression swept across the country, whatever happiness was left in the Jones household faded. Financial ruin deepened the tension between her parents, and their relationship became severely strained. As the years passed, the family situation only worsened, and Carolyn, being highly sensitive, was devastated by the constant discord around her. She noticed every detail: the arguments, the icy distance, and the simmering anger in her father's demeanor. This environment left Carolyn in a state of constant anxiety, feeling the coldness between her parents as deeply as if it were her own pain. Her once warm relationship with her father grew increasingly distant, and in 1934 his final decision would leave her unprepared and heartbroken. His departure, after years of growing apart from the family, left a deep scar on young Carolyn, adding to the instability and isolation that marked her childhood. The light she once brought into her home dimmed under the weight of these experiences, setting the stage for a challenging path ahead. One fateful day, Carolyn's father woke up and made a life-changing decision. He was finished with his family, and nothing would stand in his way. Without a second thought, he packed his bags and walked out, leaving behind his wife and 2 young daughters. Carolyn, still just a child, was devastated when she discovered that the man who was supposed to be her protector and provider had abandoned them. The heartbreak of that realization was overwhelming, and the sense of loss stayed with her. But sadly, her troubles didn't end there. Carolyn's life was about to take an even darker and more turbulent turn. With her father gone, her mother's response to the situation set off a chain of events that would bring instability and emotional turmoil to Carolyn's life. What followed was a series of unexpected challenges that would ultimately shape Carolyn's resilience and strength, but not without a great deal of hardship along the way. This difficult chapter would be only the beginning of the obstacles she would face on her journey. Living in constant fear and struggling to provide for her children, Carolyn's mother made the difficult choice to move back into her parents' home. On the surface, it seemed like a practical solution, a safe refuge for her children, with the support they so desperately needed. However, she couldn't have foreseen the new trials awaiting Carolyn there. Initially, Carolyn struggled to adjust to the unfamiliar environment, but over time she settled in, grateful for the stability and support her grandparents provided. She continued her schooling, and for a while it seemed that her grandparents had indeed stepped in to save the day. Yet behind the closed doors of her new home, Carolyn began to witness a different side of her grandparents, especially her grandfather. She soon noticed his severe anger issues, and tragically, she often found herself on the receiving end of his wrath. The outbursts and relentless yelling left her terrified, awakening feelings that echoed the instability and fear she'd known with her father. The weight of these new struggles broke her spirit. She realized she had no escape. If she or her mother did anything to upset her grandfather, they risked homelessness, a threat that kept Carolyn trapped in silence. Determined not to plunge into the poverty that haunted them, Carolyn endured her grandfather's anger daily. She lived in terror, feeling helpless yet compelled to stay. Most days were overshadowed by fear, but Carolyn knew she had no other choice. As time passed, Carolyn found herself desperately searching for a way to escape her difficult reality. She longed for more out of life, a chance to chase her dreams, perhaps even to fulfill her budding acting aspirations. Immersing herself in Hollywood fan magazines and anything that could help her momentarily escape, she clung to the hope that a brighter future might await her. But just as the spark of hope began to grow in her heart, Carolyn's health took a terrible turn. She fell gravely ill, and her illness anchored her firmly to her current reality, making any kind of escape impossible. She couldn't run, she couldn't hide, she had to stay and fight. Bedridden and isolated from the world, confined within the four walls of her room, Carolyn found herself grappling with fear and despair. Day by day she prayed for strength, begging death to stay far away, for she knew she had so many unfulfilled dreams. She wasn't ready to let go of life just yet. Few know this chapter of her life, but during that time, Carolyn was bedridden for a long and grueling period, cut off from the world while others went on with their lives. Diagnosed with severe asthma, her condition drained her physically and mentally, making her feel as though the life within her was slowly slipping away. To regain her strength, Carolyn was forced to stay indoors, battling feelings of entrapment and isolation. It was one of the darkest chapters of her life, especially painful as she couldn't indulge in simple joys like going to the movies. Frail and mentally exhausted, Carolyn found solace in her favorite songs, clinging to visions of life after recovery. Finally, when she emerged from that room, she was more determined than ever. She vowed to pursue her dreams no matter the obstacles. That promise to herself would fuel her unyielding pursuit of a better life and an acting career in Hollywood. It was during this turbulent period that Carolyn discovered the Pasadena Playhouse, one of the most renowned acting schools of the time. The idea of enrolling there and honing her craft sparked an intense desire within her. She dreamed of standing on stage, captivating audiences with her performances. Driven by her passion for acting, Carolyn found the courage to approach her grandparents, persuading them to support her ambition. Amazingly, they agreed, and her enrollment at the Playhouse felt like a dream come true. With boundless passion, confidence, and excitement, Carolyn threw herself into her studies, eager to develop her skills and turn her dream into reality. She was focused and determined, her mind set on the bright future she envisioned for herself. However, as she delved deeper into the world of acting, her path took an unexpected turn. Carolyn found herself deeply in love with a man who sparked controversy among those close to her. No one approved of her choice, but her heart had its own plans. In the late 1940s, Carolyn Jones was fully committed to her acting studies, determined not to let anything distract her from her dream. However, all that changed when she met 27-year-old Don Donaldson. For those who knew Carolyn, it was clear she had a passionate drive to pursue whatever she set her heart on, regardless of others' opinions. This fierce determination was on full display when she fell completely in love with Donaldson. The two met in 1949, and it was love at first sight, a bond so strong they could hardly hide it from anyone. They were smitten, openly displaying their affection and making it clear that their feelings were genuine. However, not everyone approved of their relationship. At the time, Carolyn was only 19, and with Don already 27, the age gap sparked gossip and disapproval. But the couple was unfazed, determined to stay together despite the criticisms. After a year of dating, they went against the opinions of others and got married, sealing their relationship with a commitment that they hoped would last. Sadly, their marriage faced challenges, and only a year later, they decided to go their separate ways. After her divorce, Carolyn came to a firm realization: she would not let anything or anyone sidetrack her from her goals. She made the decision to block out any distractions and focus solely on her dream of becoming an actress. Now more resolute than ever, she knew that reaching stardom would require sacrifices, even if it meant undergoing physical changes to fit Hollywood's standards. Her ambition was stronger than ever, and she was prepared to do whatever it took to secure her place in the spotlight, showing the world the extent of her commitment to her dreams. In the 1950s, Carolyn Jones was fiercely determined to achieve Hollywood fame, willing to do whatever it took to break through the doors of stardom. However, after graduating from acting school, she faced a shocking and painful realization. Talent alone wouldn't secure her a place in the industry. Despite her passion and skill, Hollywood demanded more from its actresses, and she soon understood the sacrifices she'd need to make if she wanted to succeed. Carolyn had always felt certain that acting was her true calling. Her time at the Pasadena Playhouse was thrilling and creatively fulfilling, allowing her to explore her talent fully. She excelled, earning accolades and awards for her impressive performances, which only fueled her confidence. Yet, stepping into the actual world of Hollywood proved to be a rude awakening. Her talent, dedication, and enthusiasm, while undeniable, weren't enough on their own to propel her into stardom. Beauty standards played a decisive role in the industry at the time, and actresses who didn't fit the Hollywood it girl image were often sidelined. Carolyn quickly learned that, despite her hard work and achievements, appearance could outweigh talent in the pursuit of fame. This harsh truth forced her to confront the reality of Hollywood's expectations, leading her to make difficult decisions as she navigated a path that demanded so much more than she'd originally anticipated. Although Carolyn Jones was already blessed with natural beauty, she didn't believe her looks would be enough to make it in the competitive Hollywood landscape. Observing her career's progress in comparison to other actresses who had reshaped themselves to meet Hollywood's rigorous beauty standards, Carolyn became convinced that change was necessary. Once she realized this, she resolved to do whatever was in her power to meet those expectations, regardless of the cost. This decision led her down the path of cosmetic surgery, a choice that was both physically painful and financially burdensome. With dreams of a more glamorous life and a successful career, Carolyn made the difficult decision to go under the knife. She invested a significant sum of money and endured intense pain, all in the hopes that her transformed appearance would open doors in the industry. By the time the procedure was complete, Carolyn's look had dramatically shifted. She now had a pointed, more refined nose that aligned with Hollywood's idea of beauty, as well as blonde hair and a carefully adjusted posture to exude sophistication. Not stopping there, Carolyn worked hard to lose her Texas accent, ensuring that every part of her image aligned with the ideal Hollywood actress. She was willing to transform nearly every part of herself to fit into the industry's vision of perfection. Fate seemed to reward her perseverance, as not long after her transformation, Carolyn was noticed by a talent scout while performing in a theater. At that moment, she embodied everything Hollywood sought in a leading lady, an image of beauty, poise, and charm. Her look, combined with her undeniable talent, made it clear that she was ready to go far in the industry. Shortly afterward, Carolyn aced her screen test and signed her first major contract with Paramount Studios, marking the beginning of her journey to stardom. Her physical transformation worked exactly as she had hoped, helping her secure prominent roles and bolstering her rising career. However, looking back, it's astonishing to think about the extent she went to in order to succeed. Carolyn's story is a stark reminder of the relentless demands of Hollywood and the sacrifices required to meet them. Her journey reveals the lengths one determined actress was willing to go to turn her dreams into reality, highlighting both the beauty and the harshness of the path she chose. Sadly, Carolyn's looks couldn't sustain her career for long, and she soon faced the harsh reality of Hollywood's fleeting attention, especially during an unexpected financial crisis. Her big screen debut in The Turning Point in 1952 was a huge milestone, filling her with joy and hope. Finally, she was beginning to feel the success she had always craved, but fate didn't let her savor this achievement for too long. Before she knew it, her career began to lose momentum. Carolyn could have never imagined that after all her sacrifices, her path would lead anywhere but up. However, she was proven wrong. Though she initially received accolades and applause for her role in The Turning Point, Carolyn's rise quickly stalled. The public admiration and critical acclaim started fading, and her career took a turn she hadn't anticipated. Paramount Studios, the very studio she had signed with and hoped would secure her a lasting place in Hollywood, only provided her with 2 minor roles following her breakthrough performance. These small parts were not enough to sustain the reputation she had started to build. She believed that landing another significant role after The Turning Point could have propelled her forward, potentially making her a major Hollywood name, but these minor roles felt like tiny punctures slowly deflating her career. To make matters worse, Paramount didn't offer her any other significant roles before her contract eventually expired. Suddenly, Carolyn found herself out in the cold, grappling with disappointment. She had genuinely thought that with Paramount's backing, she was on her way to becoming a Hollywood star, but that dream didn't materialize. Left without a studio and any significant roles, she was left broke, forgotten, and utterly alone. The earnings from her brief stint in films weren't nearly as much as she had hoped, and her finances were quickly crumbling. Desperate to revive her career, she tried everything she could, but her efforts were in vain. With no other options left, she had to reach out to her family for support, feeling a deep sense of loss as she faced an uncertain future and the shattering of her once bright aspirations. Things became so difficult financially that Carolyn had to reach out to her sister, asking her to move in so they could split the rent. Her career was at a low point, and despite all her efforts to rekindle her success in film, she struggled to secure any opportunities on the big screen. Devastated doesn't even begin to describe how she felt. It was a crushing blow to realize that her dreams in Hollywood seemed to be slipping away. After exhausting every option, she eventually stopped trying to regain her former success in movies. Hollywood had turned its back on her, leaving her with no choice but to pursue roles on television. Thankfully, her persistence paid off. Carolyn began to land some TV roles, and gradually, her finances stabilized. Piece by piece, she was able to get back on her feet, and her life started to come together again. Just as things were finally starting to align, Carolyn met a man who swept her off her feet, adding a touch of romance to her comeback story. The future appeared to be bright, full of hope and new beginnings, or so she thought. Carolyn Jones took a bold step when she met Aaron Spelling, believing she'd found her true soulmate. Desperate to keep him by her side, she devised an unconventional plan for the 1950s. She would propose to him herself. Around this time, Carolyn returned to her roots in theater, rekindling her passion for performing live. Theater offered her the chance to fully explore her dramatic abilities, something she loved deeply. Unbeknownst to her, this passion for theater would also lead her straight to the man who would become her lover. From the moment Carolyn and Aaron met, their chemistry was undeniable. They quickly bonded over their shared ambition to make a name for themselves in the industry, and soon their professional connection blossomed into romance. Carolyn found herself deeply in love, more certain with each passing day that Aaron was the one she wanted to spend her life with. She couldn't imagine a future without him by her side. At the same time, Carolyn's career finally took a turn for the better. She landed a role in House of Wax, one of the few 3D films of the time. This groundbreaking opportunity restored her lost glory, bringing her back into the public eye and positioning her as one of Hollywood's most sought-after actresses. With her career on the rise and her love life flourishing, it seemed as though Carolyn finally had everything she'd ever wanted. Surely nothing could go wrong now, right? Buoyed by her professional success and consumed by the certainty of her love, Carolyn approached Aaron with a heart full of hope and longing. She yearned for the sanctity of marriage, eager to formalize their bond with vows that would bind them eternally. But fate, fickle and unpredictable, cast its shadow over her dreams. Aaron, grappling with his own ambitions and weighed down by financial insecurities, hesitated. He admitted that he wasn't ready to settle down, his uncertainties dampening her hopes in a single, heartbreaking moment. Carolyn's dreams of a secure future crumbled, and she was left momentarily shattered. However, Carolyn was not one to be deterred by convention or rejection. Driven by a fierce determination to shape her own destiny, she decided to take an audacious step that defied societal norms. Refusing to let fear hold her back, she proposed to Aaron herself, casting aside all expectations. The world seemed to hold its breath in that moment. Aaron, captivated by her boldness and overwhelmed by their undeniable love, accepted. Their union, marked by courage and resilience, became a love story for the ages. With her heart full and her career back on track, Carolyn was finally reaching a place of fulfillment. But just as she began to bask in her happiness, fate intervened once more, delivering a blow that would test her strength yet again. Carolyn Jones was on the brink of a life-changing moment when she received a call from a casting executive at Columbia Pictures. She had been selected to play Lorene Alma in the upcoming film From Here to Eternity, a role that would undoubtedly transform her career. Her heart soared with excitement. She saw this as the answer to her prayers and a golden opportunity to cement her place in Hollywood. The casting executive assured her that as long as she passed the screen test, the role was hers. Driven by enthusiasm and determination, Carolyn threw herself into preparation, doing everything she could to ensure she would ace the test. However, her excitement was cut short on the evening before her screen test when an all-too-familiar health issue returned. Carolyn began experiencing severe bouts of pneumonia, and by that night she was in such dire condition that she had to be rushed to the hospital. Her illness worsened, and she nearly lost her life. Lying in her hospital bed, Carolyn was consumed with pain and regret, realizing that her chance to prove herself had slipped away. Unable to attend the screen test the next day, she was forced to watch the role, and her best shot at stardom, go to another actress. From Here to Eternity became a major hit, and Carolyn was left wondering why fate seemed to work against her in such a cruel way. Undeterred, she resolved to fight her way back into the industry, determined to prove herself. Carolyn's hard work and dedication eventually brought her success, but as with many things in her life, it wouldn't last long. Just as Carolyn was beginning to regain her footing and find stability, she was struck down by illness once again. This time, her health challenges came at a particularly inopportune moment, right in the middle of filming King Creole, where she was cast opposite the iconic Elvis Presley. Known for his charm and adored by countless women, Elvis was considered one of the most captivating actors of his era. So when news spread that Carolyn had refused to kiss him on set, it took everyone by surprise. As Elvis prepared to enlist in the Army, he decided to take on one last role, playing Carolyn's love interest in the film. Carolyn, despite her health struggles, was determined to bring her character to life without compromise. When filming commenced, things went smoothly at first. But soon enough, Carolyn's illness resurfaced with a vengeance. Battling a severe fever, she pushed through her scenes, resolved not to let her condition interfere with her performance. Each day on set was a battle, but she continued to give her best, channeling her passion and dedication to ensure she didn't miss a beat. But then came the moment when she was expected to share an on-screen kiss with Elvis. This would be a highlight for many actresses, but Carolyn found herself in a difficult position. It wasn't a lack of attraction to Elvis. Rather, her concern was rooted in her fear of spreading her illness to him. Carolyn's worry over potentially infecting her co-star ran so deep that she begged the director to cut the kissing scene altogether, hoping to keep Elvis safe. Her request was unorthodox, as such an adjustment to the script could be challenging. Elvis, understanding her concerns, softened the moment with humor, joking that maybe getting sick could serve as a way to avoid military duty. In the end, Carolyn carried on and completed her scenes, including the much-anticipated kiss, managing to balance her professionalism with her genuine concern for her colleagues. Supported by her castmates, Carolyn finished filming successfully, and despite her health setbacks, the film turned into a massive hit, marking a significant achievement in her career. Carolyn felt an overwhelming sense of relief and pride, realizing that her resilience had carried her through another storm. Inspired by the experience, she resolved to continue pushing forward, no matter what challenges lay ahead. Carolyn Jones continued working tirelessly, and her efforts eventually paid off when she landed the iconic role of Morticia in the Addams Family. What many may not realize is that the character, now beloved, sparked a fair amount of controversy during the 1960s. The role of Morticia Addams, Gomez's darkly charming wife, introduced a level of on-screen romance that was far from ordinary at the time. Public perceptions of romance, particularly on television, were quite conservative back then, and affection between characters was often kept subtle. But Morticia and Gomez's undeniable chemistry pushed those boundaries, leaving audiences both captivated and shocked. Carolyn's portrayal of Morticia raised eyebrows, with many viewers finding the sexual chemistry between Morticia and Gomez surprisingly intense. In a time when displays of affection on screen were nearly taboo, some people went so far as to condemn Carolyn for her part in portraying such a relationship. However, despite the criticism, Carolyn remained unfazed. She understood that acting could mean challenging the norms, and she committed herself fully to the role. Though some voices disapproved, the show itself was a tremendous success, drawing a loyal fan base that eagerly awaited each new episode. Carolyn's portrayal of Morticia not only opened doors for her, but also transformed her into an icon of macabre elegance. This role, initially met with controversy, became the defining point of her career, solidifying her place in pop culture history. After the success of the show, Carolyn poured herself into the craft she adored, spending the next few decades acting and bringing characters to life on screen. She encountered countless challenges along the way, from failed marriages to relentless health issues. But her passion for acting never wavered, and she persevered through it all. However, by the 1980s, her health began to worsen significantly, and Carolyn sensed that her time was running short. Determined to fulfill one last wish, she married her longtime boyfriend in 1982, cherishing the moments they had left together. Sadly, her battle with colon cancer came to an end the following year, and she passed away in 1983, leaving an indelible mark on Hollywood. Carolyn's passing left a profound void in the industry. Her legacy as an impeccable actress with an unbreakable spirit lives on. Decades later, she's still remembered for her dedication, resilience, and immense talent, serving as a testament to her tenacity. Carolyn's legacy reminds us of other stars who fought against the odds, like Tina Turner, who also faced her share of struggles, but never gave up her fight for a place in the spotlight. To learn more about Tina's remarkable journey and the hidden aspects of her life that emerged only after her passing, click on this video for an in-depth look.